galaxy was quiet, but only for a moment. Somewhere in the darkness of space, a lone soldier moved like a shadow between the stars. They called him Ghost, a name whispered with fear by everyone who had tried to hunt him and failed. His face was hidden beneath a battered helmet, his body wrapped in armor that had seen countless battles. Nothing about him was ordinary, and yet he was human. Human in the courage he carried, human in the scars that no one could see, and human in the choices he had made that now bound him to a destiny far beyond the ordinary. Ghost drifted through the debris of a ruined space station orbiting a dead planet. The station had been abandoned for decades, but he knew that danger could be anywhere. His eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, every beam of flickering light. He moved slowly, carefully, but there was a rhythm to his motion, a rhythm that made it impossible for anyone who came after him to predict his next step. The humans hunting him were trained, yes, but Ghost had something they did not, something far stronger than strategy or weapons. He had been claimed by the alien princess Lyra, and her presence followed him like a second heartbeat, constant and unseen. Lyra's influence was subtle but undeniable. Ghost could feel it when he moved, when he breathed, when he paused to listen to the hum of the station. She was not there in body, not yet, but her soul reached out to his. It whispered in his mind, guiding him, warning him, protecting him. He had never met her in person, yet he knew her as one knows a voice that has been waiting for them across lifetimes. It was impossible to explain, but it was real, and it gave him a strength he could not have found in any weapon or training. Somewhere beyond the broken walls of the station, Ghost's pursuers waited. They were the best humanity had to offer, a task force designed to hunt, capture, or kill him. Their ships moved through space with precision, scanning, searching, prepared for every eventuality. They believed that a human, no matter how skilled, could be cornered, trapped, and defeated. They had never faced a man whose destiny was already claimed by a force beyond their comprehension. They did not know that Ghost was not just a soldier. He was a ghost, a shadow, a force that moved not only through space, but between moments of possibility. Ghost paused at the edge of a collapsed corridor. The station's metal groaned under the weight of centuries, and dust fell like snow around him. His gloved hand touched the wall, feeling vibrations that no one else could detect. He had learned to read the whispers of the world, the subtle hints that told him where danger lay, and where safety could be found. The hum of Lyra's presence was stronger here, and it drew him forward, urging him to move, to survive, to live. As he stepped forward, the first shots rang out. They were distant at first, then closer, echoing through the empty halls. Ghost did not flinch. He moved with the grace of a predator, sliding behind broken machinery, ducking through the shadows, letting the attackers waste energy and patience on empty corridors. Each strike of the enemy revealed a little more about them, and each move of his own was a lesson in survival. He was not just avoiding death. He was teaching those who hunted him that a human could be more than flesh and bone, that courage and cunning could outmatch even the most advanced technology. Outside the station, a human ship roared past, its engines leaving streaks of blue fire against the black of space. The hunters had arrived, and they were relentless. They did not understand that Ghost was no ordinary soldier. Every encounter, every near miss, every moment of danger was already part of a pattern he could not fully control, but could anticipate. Lyra's presence whispered through him, a gentle yet insistent force that sharpened his instincts and made him untouchable. He paused on the edge of a catwalk overlooking a broken docking bay. Below, the hunters' shadows moved like insects, their weapons glowing as they scanned for him. Ghost did not panic. He studied them, noting their formation, their rhythm, their errors. Then, with a single leap, he vanished into the darkness, leaving only the echo of movement and a faint shimmer of light that Lyra left in his wake. The hunters cursed, shouted, fired blindly, but it was useless. Ghost was gone, and with him went their certainty, their confidence, and their hope of victory. Ghost had been alone for most of his life, He had learned to trust himself, his skill. And now the presence of Lyra, who had claimed his soul in ways he was only beginning to understand. He remembered the first time he had felt her influence, a soft tug in his mind during a mission that should have ended in death. She had whispered to him, unseen and unheard by anyone else, and in that moment, he had survived when every calculation said he would not. Since then, her presence had been constant, guiding him, protecting him, shaping his destiny in ways he could not yet fully comprehend. He moved through the station, each step careful, precise. Broken metal, shattered glass, floating debris. None of it could stop him. Every sound was a potential threat, every shadow a possible trap, yet he moved with certainty, a man who had learned to turn danger into opportunity. Lyra's presence was a constant reassurance, a reminder that he was no longer just a soldier fighting for survival. He was part of something larger, something cosmic, something that could not be hunted or destroyed by ordinary means. Suddenly, a door slammed open ahead of him. Two of the hunters stepped into the corridor, weapons raised. They were fast, trained, ready for everything. But they had underestimated Ghost. He moved before they could react, slipping past them with a speed that seemed impossible, his body a blur. One of them fired, and the shot missed by inches, striking the wall with a thunderous clang. Ghost did not look back. He could feel Lyra's presence growing stronger, guiding him, warning him of the dangers yet to come. He reached a central hub of the station, where the remnants of power systems hummed weakly. Here, the station's gravity fluctuated, lights flickered, and every shadow could hide a threat. Ghost pressed himself against the wall, listening. The hunters were closing in, but they were predictable. They moved with strategy, but strategy could not account for the unseen, the unpredictable. The presence of a being like Lyra, guiding a human soldier. Ghost's hand found a discarded weapon, and though he did not need it, he carried it like a symbol of defiance. He was human, yes, but humans were more than flesh and bone. They were courage, instinct, and the ability to endure what others could not. Time passed in fragments, moments stretched and compressed as Ghost moved through the station. He avoided traps, navigated debris, and used the environment to his advantage. The hunters were relentless, but so was he. Every encounter left them frustrated, exhausted, and a step closer to failure. Ghost could feel it. The tide was turning. The hunter's certainty was cracking, and with each step he took, he became less a target and more a force beyond their understanding. Finally, he reached the edge of the station, where a small shuttle waited among twisted metal and floating debris. Ghost paused, listening to the hum of the engines, feeling the pull of Lyra's presence stronger than ever. This was more than a shuttle. It was a chance, a bridge between the danger behind him and the unknown ahead. He stepped forward, ready to leave the station, ready to vanish into the stars once more. But Ghost knew this was only the beginning. The hunters would not stop. They would continue to chase, to pursue, to try to capture or kill what they did not understand. And yet, he did not fear them. He had been chosen by Lyra, claimed by a presence older than war, older than humanity itself. He carried within him a spark that no one could extinguish, a connection that would guide him through the darkness, the battles, and the impossible challenges that lay ahead. As the shuttle's engines roared to life, Ghost looked out across the endless black of space, feeling the pull of the stars and the strength of the presence that had claimed his soul. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unforgiving. But he was not afraid. He was Ghost. He was human. He was claimed by something greater. And no one, not even humanity's finest, could touch him now. With a final glance at the station that had tried to trap him, Ghost launched into the void. The stars stretched before him, endless and bright, full of possibilities and threats alike. Behind him, the hunters cursed and shouted, their voices lost in the cold vacuum of space. Ahead, the unknown awaited, and Ghost, guided by the alien Princess Lyra, would face it all. For he was more than a soldier. He was a ghost in the galaxy, a force that could not be contained, and the moment he embraced that truth, he became unstoppable. Ghost drifted through the endless black of space, his shuttle weaving between asteroids that glimmered like broken stars. Behind him, the remnants of the destroyed station were nothing but small fragments, disappearing into the void. But he knew his pursuers were still out there, relentless as predators, waiting for even the slightest mistake. He did not panic. He had survived worse. He had escaped death countless times, guided by instinct sharpened in battle and by a presence that was no longer just a whisper in his mind. Lyra, the alien princess, had claimed his soul, and that connection gave him a clarity he had never known. The shuttle's systems hummed quietly, and Ghost ran his hand over the controls. Each motion was precise, practiced, measured. Every decision counted, because one small error could mean the end. Yet there was a strange calm in him, a certainty that no human technology could match. He felt Lyra's presence as clearly as the hum of the engines, a guiding force, constant and unyielding. She did not speak with words, but with thought, a silent communication that was stronger than any order or command. "Keep moving!" Her voice resonated in his mind, soft and firm. "They are close, but they cannot reach you yet." He understood the meaning perfectly. Every hunter in the galaxy had been trained to anticipate, to calculate, to corner their prey. But he was no ordinary prey. He was Ghost, and he was bound to something greater. The shuttle slipped past a cluster of asteroids, their jagged surfaces reflecting the distant light of a dying sun. Ghost's eyes scanned the dark for any sign of movement, any hint of his pursuers, and then he saw them. A fleet of ships, small but fast, closing in with terrifying precision. Humanity's finest, enhanced with alien technology stolen from battles long past, had tracked him across light years. They were prepared, deadly, and ruthless. Ghost did not hesitate. He activated the shuttle's thrusters, weaving through the asteroid field with skill that seemed impossible. The hunters followed, their weapons locking onto his energy signature. Lasers cut through the darkness, but Ghost was faster, slipping between rocks, sliding through shadows of space debris. Every maneuver was calculated, yet instinctive, guided by Lyra's presence. She shaped the space around him, bending his perception so that he moved through paths no human could anticipate. The hunters fired relentlessly, but their shots were scattered, wasted against the unpredictable path of the shuttle. Ghost laughed quietly to himself, a sound without joy, but filled with defiance. They could track him, pursue him, even anticipate him, but they could not touch him, not fully. Lyra's power intertwined with his own skill, creating a force that no human technology could overcome. He led the hunters deeper into the asteroid field, forcing them to follow dangerous routes. He watched as one ship collided with a jagged rock, tearing open its hull, scattering debris across the void. Another miscalculated and had to pull back to avoid destruction. Ghost did not celebrate, but he felt satisfaction in knowing that human overconfidence was failing against him. Yet even as he moved, he felt a shadow of worry. The hunters were learning. Every encounter left them more aware, more prepared, and he knew that they would not give up, not until they had either killed him or understood the strange force that guided him. Ghost's chest tightened for a moment, a reminder that even the strongest human could not ignore danger entirely. But then Lyra's presence enveloped him, a warm, radiant glow in his mind, and he felt courage return. He was not alone. Suddenly, a massive shadow passed over the shuttle. Ghost looked up to see a colossal alien ship, far larger than any human craft he had encountered. Its surface shimmered with energy fields, and strange lights pulsed along its hull. It was neither human nor fully known to any galaxy map he had ever seen. Lyra's presence surged, and Ghost understood immediately. This was hers. She had come. The alien princess appeared as a vision, radiant and glowing, hovering beside the shuttle. Her form was ethereal, shimmering with light that seemed to bend reality itself. Ghost could see her eyes, bright and knowing, and he felt an overwhelming sense of connection. She did not speak aloud, but her presence communicated everything. "They are relentless," she seemed to say. "But we are stronger." Ghost nodded. There was no fear in him now, only determination. With Lyra's guidance, he altered the shuttle's course, diving deeper into the asteroid field, using the massive rocks as cover. The human fleet pursued, but now they faced not only a soldier, but an ally whose powers bent the very rules of physics. Ghost felt the air pressure inside the shuttle shift, as if reality itself was responding to Lyra's will. He moved with a speed that seemed impossible, every maneuver precise, every escape a demonstration of his cunning and courage. The hunters fired again, their lasers cutting through the darkness, but they could not touch him. Ghost moved like a shadow, slipping between the rocks, disappearing from sensors, leaving only confusion behind. He could hear the frustration in the communications of the fleet, their voices tense, angry, human in a way that made him smile. They did not understand that they were no longer hunting a man. They were chasing a force, something beyond comprehension, something that belonged to Lyra as much as it belonged to him. As the shuttle emerged from the asteroid field, Ghost saw a planet below, its surface glowing with strange colors, illuminated by multiple suns. This was the destination Lyra had guided him toward, a place untouched by human civilization, a sanctuary in the vast galaxy. He felt the pull of her presence stronger than ever. The hunters were close, but they could not follow him here, not into the territory she claimed. But he knew the danger was not over. Humanity's finest were clever, adaptable, and they would find ways to challenge him again. Ghost had survived by relying on skill and instinct, but now he had more than that. He had Lyra's power, a force ancient and wise, bending reality to protect him. He was no longer just a soldier. He was something more, something that defied the expectations of those who hunted him. Landing on the planet was smooth, almost too smooth, as if the world itself was welcoming him. The shuttle's engines cooled, and Ghost stepped onto the surface, feeling the ground beneath his boots, solid and real, yet alive with energy he had never sensed before. Lyra appeared fully now, standing before him, radiant and powerful. Her eyes met his, and in that gaze Ghost felt a certainty he had never known. He was safe, for now. He was claimed. And together, they were unstoppable. The hunters would not give up. He knew that. They would adapt, learn, and come again. But Ghost did not fear them. He had survived worse than they could imagine. Guided by his skill, his courage, and the presence of the alien princess who had claimed his soul. Here, on this glowing planet, he could breathe, plan, and prepare. He could rest, if only briefly, before the next challenge. As he looked across the horizon, the sky alive with colors that seemed impossible, Ghost realized the truth. He was no longer just a soldier. He was part of something larger, something eternal. Humanity's best could chase him, try to destroy him, but they would never understand. He was Ghost, and he belonged to Lyra as much as he belonged to himself. Their connection was stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than the galaxy itself. Night fell on the planet, but the stars above seemed brighter than anywhere he had ever seen.
Ghost stood alone for a moment, feeling the pull of the cosmos and the warmth of Lyra's presence. The hunters were out there, somewhere in the darkness, but they were not a threat here.
Not yet. And even when they came again, Ghost knew he would face them, not just as a soldier, but as a force beyond their understanding, a man who had been claimed by something greater than himself. He moved through the strange forests and glowing plains of the planet, guided by instincts and by Lyra. Every step he took was a statement. He would not be hunted. He would not be defeated. And the galaxy would learn, if it had the chance, that humanity could survive, adapt, and rise beyond the limitations others imposed. He had been a soldier, yes, but now he was something more, a legend, a ghost in the stars, protected and guided by an alien force older than humanity itself. Lyra appeared beside him, her presence warming the air and filling his mind with certainty. She did not speak aloud, but he could feel her intentions, her power, and her care. Together, they would face whatever came next. Ghost understood that the hunt was not over. But now, for the first time, he did not feel fear. He felt strength, purpose, and a bond that could not be broken. The stars above shimmered as if acknowledging his new path. Ghost, the soldier who had been hunted across galaxies, had survived once more. And now, with Lyra claiming his soul, he was not just surviving. He was preparing to rise, to strike, and to face the challenges ahead with courage and power beyond any human understanding. In the quiet of the alien world, Ghost looked up at the sky and smiled. The hunters would come again, but he would be ready. He was no longer just a shadow. He was Ghost, and he belonged to Lyra, and together they would shape the future of the galaxy. The hunters had not given up. Across the void of space, their ship streaked toward the glowing planet where Ghost had found temporary refuge. They were determined, relentless, and prepared to do whatever it took to capture the soldier who had become more than human, more than a target. Ghost knew this moment would come. Every instinct in his body, sharpened by years of war and countless missions, told him that the hunters were learning, adapting, closing the distance with dangerous precision. But Ghost was ready. He had not come to this planet for rest alone. Lyra's presence, bright and constant, had strengthened him in ways he had only begun to understand. She was more than a guide. She was a force that moved with him, inside him, shaping his decisions, his reactions, and even his perception of reality. Every time he stepped into the alien forests or crossed the glowing plains, he felt her power intertwining with his courage. The hunters could track him, they could pursue him, but they could not fight what they could not comprehend. The first signs came as distant energy readings on the shuttle's instruments. Ghost moved quickly across the planet's surface, the glowing flora casting strange, shifting shadows around him. The hunters were closing in, deploying smaller attack drones to scout the terrain. Ghost crouched behind a crystalline rock formation, listening as the hum of the drones grew louder. He felt Lyra's presence surge, and a clear thought came to him without words. Use the land. Make them lose themselves. He leapt forward, sprinting across the glowing plains with impossible speed. The hunter's drones tracked him, firing pulses of energy, but Ghost was everywhere at once. He ducked behind rocks, rolled across the ground, and vanished into the dense, luminous forest. Each step was guided by Lyra, and each maneuver left the drones disoriented. They fired blindly, striking trees and rocks that glowed, reflecting the alien light in ways that made it almost impossible to see him. The planet itself seemed to respond to his presence, though Ghost knew it was Lyra working through him. Energy hummed beneath his feet, and the air vibrated with a subtle power. He felt invincible, not because he was unbreakable, but because he was no longer alone. Lyra had claimed his soul, and in doing so, had made him part of something larger than the hunters, larger than human technology, larger than war itself. From above, the human fleet watched, frustrated and confused. Their sensors were useless in this strange alien world, their weapons almost primitive compared to the power shaping Ghost's movements. They could see him, barely, through bursts of sensor readings, but they could not touch him. Every attempt to corner him ended in chaos. A laser strike aimed directly at his position hit a rock formation that suddenly shimmered and moved, throwing off the trajectory and leaving the hunter's weapons useless. Ghost was already gone, moving through the forest like a phantom. The hunters had underestimated him, and they were paying the price. Ghost's laughter was quiet, almost inaudible in the hum of the alien energy, but it was filled with defiance. They had tried to make him prey. They had trained, calculated, and strategized. But Ghost was no longer just a soldier. He was a force claimed by Lyra, and no strategy could account for that. Suddenly, a shadow passed above him. Ghost looked up to see one of the human dropships, massive and bristling with weapons, descending into the forest. They had found him, or at least thought they had. He sprinted forward, weaving through the trees, his mind alert to every sound, every flicker of movement. Lyra's presence surged again, stronger, more insistent. He could feel her shaping the terrain, bending reality just enough to keep him safe. Rocks shifted, branches moved, shadows grew, and suddenly the dropship's sensors failed. Ghost had disappeared again, leaving only confusion and panic behind. From the dropship, the lead hunter barked orders. "Do not let him escape. Use everything we have!" But it was too late. Ghost was gone, moving across the forest at a speed that defied comprehension. He felt exhilaration, not from violence, but from freedom. The hunters were human, trained, clever, but they were mortal. And Ghost was something beyond mortality now. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. It was impossible to measure time accurately in the midst of this chase. Ghost moved through the alien terrain with effortless grace, each step guided by Lyra, each breath a confirmation of the bond that tied them together. The hunters were adapting, learning his patterns, but he always stayed one step ahead. Lyra's power was not just protection. It was anticipation, foresight, a subtle manipulation of probability itself. He could not fail. He would not fail. Then, from the shadows of the glowing forest, Ghost saw them. His pursuers, closing in, weapons ready, determination etched on every face. There were too many of them, and this time they were organized, working together with precision that made even Ghost pause. But he did not hesitate. He was not afraid. Lyra's presence filled him, radiating through his body like fire and light. He felt a surge of power, and his mind became clear, every possibility unfolding before him. The battle began without warning. Lasers streaked through the forest, illuminating the glowing plants in bursts of red and blue. Ghost moved like water, fluid and unpredictable, dodging blasts that would have killed an ordinary man. He returned fire with precision, using whatever debris he could find, creating diversions, manipulating the environment to his advantage. Lyra's presence guided him, shaping the battlefield so that every move favored him, every step protected him. One of the hunters lunged forward, enhanced with stolen alien technology. Ghost met him head-on, moving faster than the eye could track. Their weapons clashed, sparks flying, and for a moment it seemed like the hunter might gain the upper hand. But Ghost's instincts, sharpened by Lyra, allowed him to anticipate the next move. With a swift motion, he disarmed the hunter and sent him sprawling, leaving him stunned and defeated. The other hunters hesitated, unsure how to respond. Ghost did not wait. He moved through the battlefield, striking with precision, disappearing and reappearing as though he were everywhere at once. The hunters fired relentlessly, but it was no use. Ghost was not alone. He was more than human, a soldier claimed by a power that no weapon could touch. Lyra's presence was constant, radiant, guiding his actions, shaping the chaos around him. He was a ghost in every sense, untouchable, unstoppable, and terrifying to those who sought to destroy him. The forest itself seemed to fight alongside him. Trees shifted, glowing rocks moved to create barriers, and the ground hummed with energy that destabilized the hunter's weapons. Ghost moved with the rhythm of this power, dancing through danger, striking when the moment was right, and vanishing before retaliation could come. The hunters began to retreat, their confidence crumbling as they realized the soldier they had hunted across galaxies was no longer just a man. He was something beyond their comprehension, and they were powerless against him. In the midst of the chaos, Ghost felt Lyra fully for the first time. She appeared before him, radiant and luminous, her form glowing with alien light. Her eyes met his, and in that gaze he felt not only connection, but destiny. They were linked, human and alien, soldier and princess, courage and power, intertwined. Ghost understood that the hunters could never defeat him. Not fully, because part of him now existed in her world, a place beyond time, beyond fear, and beyond death. The remaining hunters tried to regroup, but Ghost was already gone. He moved through the forest faster than they could track, guided by Lyra's presence and his own unyielding determination. One by one, they fell into disarray, their weapons misfiring, their formations breaking. The bond between Ghost and Lyra was too strong, too precise, too unpredictable. Humanity's finest were clever, but they were mortal. Ghost was beyond that now, a force claimed by an alien power that could shape the very battlefield around him. As the battle ended, Ghost stood amidst the aftermath, the forest glowing softly around him, untouched by the violence that had passed. The hunters had fled, their ships retreating into space, their pride shattered, their mission failed. Ghost looked toward the horizon, where the twin suns of the planet painted the sky in shades of gold and violet. Lyra appeared beside him, her hand brushing against his arm, a gesture of warmth and confirmation. "Are you ready?" she whispered in his mind, though no sound escaped her lips. Ghost nodded. He was ready. The hunters would come again, he knew, but he would face them, not just as a soldier, but as a force that could not be captured or destroyed. He was Ghost, and he belonged to Lyra, and together they were stronger than anything the galaxy could throw at them. For the first time, Ghost felt a sense of peace, a momentary stillness in the chaos of the universe. The bond between him and Lyra was unbreakable. They were human and alien, soldier and princess, courage and power intertwined in a way that no hunter could comprehend. And as they looked out across the glowing plains, they knew that whatever came next, they would face it together, unstoppable and unafraid. The galaxy might try to hunt him, might try to destroy him, but Ghost was no longer just a man. He was a legend, a ghost in the stars, claimed by the alien princess and destined for a future beyond the limits of human imagination. And as the sun set on the glowing horizon, Ghost smiled, knowing that the real battle had only just begun, and that he and Lyra would face it together, unyielding and eternal. Across the void of space, their fleet gathered, larger and more formidable than anything Ghost had faced before. They had learned from previous failures, adapted their technology, and prepared a plan to capture or kill the soldier they could not understand. Yet Ghost did not fear them. He had survived every challenge thrown at him. He had escaped death countless times, and now he stood at the edge of a battle that would decide not just his fate, but the destiny of everyone who had tried to hunt him. The alien Princess Lyra appeared beside him, radiant and commanding. Her presence was overwhelming, a force that bent reality itself. Ghost felt her strength intertwining with his own, guiding him, shaping his instincts, and amplifying every thought and action. They were not just allies, they were one. The hunters could bring their numbers, their weapons, their strategies, but Ghost and Lyra together were beyond calculation, beyond comprehension. "Are you ready?" she whispered in his mind. No sound escaped her lips, yet the words resonated with clarity. Ghost nodded. He had been ready from the moment they first claimed each other. Everything he had survived had led to this moment. Every battle, every narrow escape, every choice he had made had been preparation for this. And now, with Lyra by his side, he knew they could face anything. The hunter's fleet emerged from hyperspace, a wave of cold metal and fire against the glowing horizon of the alien planet. Their ships fired relentlessly, lasers cutting through the alien sky, explosions marking the surface where their weapons struck. Ghost moved across the terrain with precision, weaving through glowing forests and crystalline cliffs, each step guided by Lyra's presence. The hunters could aim, but they could not predict. They could fire, but they could not touch him. The battle escalated quickly. Ghost struck from the shadows, appearing and disappearing like a phantom. Every weapon the hunters fired missed by inches. Rocks and trees shifted inexplicably, creating barriers, illusions, and traps that left the hunters frustrated and disoriented. Ghost's every move was a combination of human skill and Lyra's alien power. Together, they became unstoppable, a force beyond mortality. One of the lead hunters, a man enhanced with stolen alien technology, tried to charge Ghost directly, but Ghost was ready. He dodged, moved faster than the eye could follow, and struck with precision. The hunter stumbled, disarmed, and fell, his pride shattered. The others hesitated, unsure how to respond. Ghost had become something more than human, a soldier fused with alien power, and no amount of training could match that. From above, Lyra's presence manifested fully. Light cascaded across the battlefield, shifting reality, shaping the environment, and protecting Ghost. She did not fight directly, but every motion, every thought of hers guided him, amplified his instincts, and turned the hunter's weapons against them. It was as if the planet itself responded to their bond, shifting and bending to create opportunities and protection. Ghost realized the full extent of what it meant to be claimed by her. He was not just surviving, he was empowered beyond the limits of human imagination. The hunters regrouped, firing their most powerful weapons, in a desperate attempt to overwhelm him. Ghost moved through the chaos with clarity, striking when the moment was right, disappearing when danger approached, and using the environment to his advantage. Explosions rocked the glowing plains, trees collapsed, and rocks shattered, but Ghost emerged unharmed every time. He was a ghost, untouchable, a living symbol of human courage, amplified by alien power. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind again, soft yet firm. "We end this now," she said. Ghost nodded, understanding. The moment for escape had passed. Now they would confront the hunters directly, and the galaxy would witness that a soldier's courage, when fused with something greater, could not be broken. With a surge of energy, Ghost leapt into the center of the battlefield, moving faster than the eye could see. Lasers and projectiles flew past him, but he was already gone, appearing behind the hunters' lines. Each strike was precise, each motion calculated, and every hunter who tried to engage him found themselves outmatched. Ghost was everywhere at once, a phantom, untouchable, a force no one could anticipate. The hunters realized too late that they were facing more than a man. Ghost had become a legend, a being whose human courage and alien-guided skill had made him unstoppable. Their formations collapsed under the pressure of his relentless assault. One by one, their weapons were destroyed, their ships disabled, and their morale shattered. Amid the chaos, Lyra manifested fully on the battlefield. Her presence was radiant, a living shield and guiding force. Ghost moved with her, striking in perfect harmony. The hunters could not comprehend the bond between them, the fusion of human skill and alien power. Every attempt to capture him failed, every strategy backfired, and soon the remaining hunters began to retreat, their pride and confidence broken. Ghost stood alone for a moment, surrounded by the wreckage of the battlefield. The hunters had fled, their fleet scattered across space, defeated not by brute force alone, but by something far greater. The courage of a human and the guidance of an alien force that had claimed his soul. Lyra appeared beside him, her glow softening, her presence comforting. Ghost felt a sense of peace for the first time in years, a moment of quiet triumph amidst chaos. "Is it over?" he asked in his mind, though he knew the answer. "Yes," Lyra responded. "For now, they cannot touch you. You are mine, and together, we are stronger than they can imagine." Ghost nodded. The galaxy would try again, he knew. Humanity's finest would adapt, learn, and return with new strategies, but they would never understand that he was no longer just a man, no longer just a soldier. He had been claimed, empowered, and transformed. He was a ghost in the galaxy, untouchable, unstoppable, and eternal. As the twin suns of the planet set, casting golden and violet light across the glowing landscape, Ghost and Lyra stood together. He looked out across the horizon, feeling the pull of the cosmos and the strength of their bond. The hunters had been defeated, their threat neutralized. But the universe was vast, full of challenges yet to come. Ghost did not fear them. He would face whatever came next, as he always had, with courage, skill, and the guiding presence of the alien princess who had claimed his soul. In that moment, Ghost understood the full truth. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a symbol, a legend, a living testament to the power of human courage, fused with something far greater than the galaxy could comprehend. Humanity's best might chase him, but they could never defeat the bond that made him unstoppable. Lyra reached out, her hand brushing against his arm. Ghost felt a warmth that went beyond physical touch, a connection that transcended life and death, time and space. Together, they looked out across the alien world, knowing that the stars were theirs to explore, to protect, and, if needed, to challenge. Humanity had tried to destroy him, but Ghost was no longer merely human. He was claimed by the cosmos, guided by an alien princess, and destined for a path that no one could predict or control. He was free, powerful, and untouchable. As night fell over the glowing planet, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the courage and power of the soldier who had survived impossible odds. Ghost, once hunted, now stood victorious. A ghost in the galaxy, a legend whispered in fear and awe across countless worlds. Lyra's presence remained with him, constant and radiant, a reminder that he was no longer alone. He had been claimed, empowered, and transformed. The hunters had failed, and the galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. A human soldier, courageous beyond measure, fused with an alien power that made him unstoppable. And as Ghost looked to the stars, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them. Not just as a soldier, but as a force of legend, claimed by Lyra, guided by courage, and untouchable by anything the universe could throw at him. The galaxy had learned a lesson that no one would forget. Some forces could not be hunted, could not be destroyed, and could not be contained. Ghost was one of those forces, and his story had only just begun.